Welcome to Breakup Cheater, where every story pulls you in, holds you tight, and doesn't let go until the very last word. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell icon, and give this video a thumbs up so you never miss the moments that will haunt your thoughts long after they end. Some stories begin with a bang. Others, with nothing but a whisper. And this one. It began on a gray, quiet morning, with 7 words that would change everything. I think I found someone else. This is the story of how that moment didn't just break me. It rebuilt me. I can still remember the day she left me in perfect clarity. Not just the moment, but the texture of it. The muted gray of the sky through the living room window. The faint smell of rain that drifted in every time the wind rattled the glass. The sound of her voice, calm and almost apologetic, as if she were telling me she'd misplaced her keys instead of shattering my life. There was no fight, no raised voices, no slammed doors. Just a pause, her eyes avoiding mine, and then, "I think I've found someone else." I stood there, unable to breathe, my thoughts scattering like shards of glass. My gaze dropped to the small overnight bag by the door. A bag I hadn't seen her pack, though I realized she must have done it quietly while I was asleep. For years. 4 years of shared mornings and whispered promises. 4 years of planning trips we never took, talking about the home we wanted to buy, the family we might someday start. All of it gone in a single sentence. When she left, she took almost nothing. A few clothes, her purse, and her phone. But what she left behind was worse. On the counter, a half-drunk cup of coffee still sat where she'd abandoned it, the surface rippling slightly from the hum of the refrigerator. It was still warm when I touched it, as if mocking me with the proof that she'd been here only moments ago. The apartment seemed bigger, emptier, the air colder without her in it. First I blamed myself. I replayed every conversation, every silence. Had I stopped telling her I loved her? Had I worked too much? Had I failed to notice her drifting away? And then the truth came out. The man she'd left me for wasn't someone she met recently. He was a ghost from her past. A high school boyfriend she'd reconnected with through a Facebook message. A simple "hey, remember me?" had been enough to pull her back into that old fantasy. Within 2 months, she decided he was worth throwing our life into the fire for. The weeks after were unbearable. I couldn't sleep in our bed. It felt like lying in an open grave. Meals became mechanical, I chewed without tasting. Music became dangerous. Every song was a trigger. I could still see her in the bathroom mirror, humming as she brushed her hair, or recall the tiny handwritten notes she'd stick to the fridge. "Don't forget the milk. Love you." I cut her off on every platform, blocked her number, tried to erase her from my life. But she still found ways to slip through the cracks. A friend would tag her in a photo, her and him at the beach, laughing, her hand resting on his chest like it belonged there. 10 months passed. Slowly I rebuilt myself. Found a new job. Moved to a new apartment where her ghost couldn't follow me. I even considered dating again. The ache had dulled to something I could live with. And then one night, my phone lit up with a message that froze me in place. "Can we talk?" I stared at those 3 words for so long that the screen went dark in my hand. Eventually I typed back. We met at a quiet coffee shop, the same one we'd once gone to every Sunday. When she walked in, I almost didn't recognize her. The confident sparkle she'd had when she left me was gone. She looked thinner, her shoulders slightly hunched, her smile cautious, almost guilty. She didn't waste time. Her voice trembled as she confessed. It had all been a lie. She hadn't loved him the way she thought. She wasn't chasing a person, she was chasing a feeling, the rush of being wanted again, the illusion of power over someone's desire. She admitted he'd been controlling, manipulative. Their romance had fallen apart in weeks, but her pride had kept her silent. 10 months. 10 months of me blaming myself, wondering what I could have done differently, when the truth was she'd destroyed everything for a daydream. Her eyes filled with tears as she whispered, "I made the biggest mistake of my life." But I didn't feel what she wanted me to feel. There was no rush of sympathy, no urge to hold her. I'd shed my tears months ago, in the dark, alone, when she didn't look back the first time. I told her I forgave her. Not for her sake but for mine. Because holding on to that bitterness had been like carrying a stone in my chest, and I was finally ready to set it down. But forgiveness did not mean welcome. It didn't mean trust. I stood, wished her well, and left her sitting there among the half-empty coffee cups and awkward silences. That night, standing in front of my bathroom mirror, I realized something. The man staring back at me wasn't the same man she had left behind. He was stronger, wiser, free. And for the first time in almost a year I smiled. Not because she wanted to come back, but because I no longer wanted her at all. Sometimes the cruelest lies aren't the ones told to your face, but the ones that let you believe you were never enough. But here's the truth I learned. When someone leaves you for a fantasy, let them go. Because when the fantasy fades, you'll still be here, stronger, wiser, and free. And the sweetest victory is realizing you no longer want what once shattered you.